Rabotai, welcome back to Dal the Mashal Halacha in Lakash Baruch Boloma Ela Arba Mashal Halacha Balwad. Rabotai, we're going to try to wrap up the Halacha today with the Biur Halacha and the Mishabur Sikat in Yudalid. So in the following class, we could already start doing Halacha Hey. Rabotai, we are continuing in Siman Reish Tzadik Tet in Halacha Daled. This will be part 2 of the Shi'ur. We started speaking about in a situation where a person had either only 1 cup of wine or if he had 2 cups of wine. So we explained that if he only had 1 cup of wine, meaning 1 kosh of bracha, and he's that type of person that's always accustomed to doing Birkat Hamazon, he's always accustomed of benching Birkat Hamazon on kosh of bracha, and he only has 1 cup of wine, we said he should do the 2 kiddushot on 1 cup of wine, meaning the Birkat Hamazon and the Havdalah he should do on 1 cup of wine. But the other halacha case we had in that same halacha in the halacha dalid, that if you have 2 cups of wine, you shouldn't do 2 kiddushot, you shouldn't do Birkat Hamazon and Havdalah on 1 kosh shel bracha, but rather you should split it. Birkat Hamazon is going to go for 1 kosh shel bracha, and Havdalah is going to go for the other kosh shel bracha. Today we want to see, first we're going to do the Bir Halacha. When the Shulchan Aruch says, again we have to understand, just let's remember this. We saw in Siman Kuf Pei Bet yesterday in Halacha Aleph that we saw that there was a 3-way machlok with all the Yesh Omrims, or 4-way machlok, whatever, 3 or 4-way machlok with the Yesh Omrims, and we concluded yesterday that we the Sephardim our halacha is that you don't have to do Birkat Hamazon on a kosh shel bracha. You want to do it, you can be my guest, but the halacha does not obligate you. So over here we're going to speak about a situation only where a person is particular about doing kosh shel bracha. He's particular about doing Birkat Hamazon on a kosh shel bracha. That's the case we're speaking about here. That's why I told you yesterday, this halacha is not really that much practical if you're not that type of person that's always doing Birkat Hamazon on kosh shel bracha. Now, so the Bir Halacha says like this. Mevareh Birkat Hamazon al echad. We had explained that if you have a person that is always particular about doing Birkat Hamazon and kosh shel bracha, now he finds himself stuck with 1 cup of wine. So what does he do? He always benches on a cup of wine, but he only has 1. Is he going to do it for Birkat Hamazon, or is he going to leave it for Havdalah? So we saw in the Halach in the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says you're going to do Birkat Hamazon, you're going to do Havdalah on it. Okay, I'm happy, but how am I supposed to do that? Okay, how am I supposed to do it? How does that work? So that's one case we're going to see. Another case we want to see, what happens when I'm always particular about benching on a cup of wine, but what happens right now where I do have 2 cups of wine. Thank you. What happens right now if I have 2 cups of wine? So the Halach and the Shulchan Aruch said, you're going to bench on 1 cup and you're going to do Havdalah on the 2nd cup. Beautiful. But how does this work? When the Shulchan Aruch says that since I'm particular on the kosh shel berachot, fine. How does it work? When you told me in the Shulchan Aruch, when he says that if I was eating in a permissible manner and then the sun set and the stars came out and so on and so forth, you said finish your meal, then go ahead and bench on the kosh shel bracha, and then go ahead and do the Havdalah on the other kosh shel bracha. Very nice. But how does that work? Do I do it immediately or do I have to daven first? Before I do Havdalah, do I first have to daven, yes or no? So comes the Bir Halacha and he says like this. Mevareh Birkat Hamazon al ha'echad v'shotehu. You're going to bless Birkat Hamazon on the first kosh shel bracha, and you're going to drink it. Like I wrote in the Mishnah Berurah, Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to daven. ואחר כך מבדיל על האח, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do Havdalah on the second kosher bracha. This is the second case in the Shulchan Aruch. Aval bereishit, but in the prior case, the first case in the Shulchan Aruch, she'en lo ela kos echad, where you only had one cup, where you had to do Birkat Hamazon and Havdalah on that one cup, how is a person supposed to act? Ve'eni yachol l'shtod mimenu ad achar Havdalah. You're not able to drink from that kos shel bracha until after Havdalah. Why? Like we saw yesterday, because once you drink that cup of wine, you blemish it, so now you can't go ahead and do Havdalah on it. Mashma mebach ve'el yezuta is implied on the Beit Chadash and the El Yezuta. The Yavdil miyad kodem hatifilam. The Beit Chadash and the El Yezuta are going to tell you that you have to go ahead and you're going to have to do Havdalah immediately after the Birkat Hamazon. Not after the prayer. One more time. Let me read this one more time. It's implied from the Beit Chadash and the El Yezuta that you're going to do Havdalah immediately before the Tefillah, which implies after you do Birkat Hamazon on the kosher Havdalah. What's the reason? Well, I don't get it. Why do you want me? Remember, we have one cup over here. Why do you want me to go ahead and bench on it and then immediately do Havdalah? So he says, and the reason. Because he says, we don't want you to postpone the drinking of the cup very much from the time that you went ahead and you blessed on this cup of wine, Birkat Hamazon. So you know what's going to be? If the Beit Chadash and the El Yezuta, you know what they're telling you? If you want to tell me that I should first bench on this cup of wine, and then I should daven, and then I'm going to do Havdalah, and then I'm going to drink this cup, I have a problem. You're making a very big separation between the blessing that I blessed on it in Birkat Hamazon. So now what I have to do? I have to go ahead and I have to wait until after Tefillah when I'm going to do Havdalah. That's too much. So that's why he holds. He says, no, you're going to go ahead and you're going to bless Birkat Hamazon. You're not saying no sabri barana, nothing, no break given, nothing. You're going to only bless Birkat Hamazon on it. And then you're going to go ahead and do the Havdalah. You're going to say the bracha B'rei Gefen, B'rei Ra'esh, B'rei B'sabim, whatever, and Baruch HaMavdil. And after you finish, then you're going to go ahead and drink it. Why do we want you to do it like that? Because the Bach and the El Yezuta are telling you that if we're going to tell you to do it after the Tefillah, from the time when you benched on this cup of wine till the time when you're going to drink it after Havdalah, which is after the prayers, that's a very long separation. That's a very big separation. That we don't want you to do. That's what the Bureau Halacha is bringing down over here, that if a person only has one cup of wine, and he has to go ahead and say 2 Kiddushot on it, we're going to tell you, do it back to back, Birkat Hamazon and then Havdalah. And we explain the reason, because we don't want you to have a great interruption between them. Aval, however, comes the Bureau Halacha and he says no. Ein ha'olam nohagin ken. The world does not have that kind of custom to do that. Eila, rather, what is the world going to do? Mitpalelim ve'achar kach mavdilim. First, you're going to go ahead and daven, Arabit. Afterwards, you're going to go ahead and do the Havdalah. It's also implied a little bit in the words of Derech HaChaim. Okay, so that answers that question. Basically, we saw in the Biur Halacha that if a person has 2 cups, we're going to tell you, you make Birkat Hamazon on the first cup, drink it. Go pray, then do Havdalah on the second cup and drink it. If you only had 1 cup, we're going to tell you the way the Biur Halacha is concluding. He says the way the minhag is. Again, you want to follow the Beit Chadash and the El Yezuta, you could do it, but the Biur Halacha says the minhag is on 1 cup of wine you're going to bless Birkat Hamazon. Since you're not saying B'rei Gefen, go ahead daven Aravit. After you finish Aravit, say Havdalah, get all the berachot in, and then go ahead and drink that 1 cup. Okay. Now we're going into Siv Katan Yudalet, where it says Mevareh Birkat Hamazon, and this is going on the second case in the Shulchan Aruch regarding where you had 2 cups of wine. So he says like this: Mevareh Birkat Hamazon, right? We told you that you should go ahead and you should bless Birkat Hamazon on the first cup of Havdalah, meaning on the first cup of on the kosher bracha. So he says, Umutar, here we go. Umutar lishtot me'akos avshu kodm ha'avdalah. And you are allowed to drink from that cup of wine, even though it's before Havdalah. Again, let's put it to you like this. Let's put to you this situation. You have a person, I'm just going to make it a little bit more practical. You have a person that, every time he's very particular about benching Birkat HaMazon on a cup of wine. Meaning on the kosher bracha. The thing is, with us, you're going to have to do it with 3 people. Even though we showed that you could do it with 1 or 2, whatever. We're going to do it with 3 people. Alright? Rabotai, it's a machlok which I don't want to get into right now. So what's going to end up happening is over here. Let's say I am that type of person that's very particular about always doing Birkat HaMazon on the kosher bracha with 3 people. So now I'm having Sudah shel in the shul. I have 3 guys over here. So I tell them, listen, let's go bench. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the kosher bracha. Do the Birkat HaMazon on this kosher bracha. Comes the Mishnah and he tells you, good, you did it, beautiful. Umutar lishtot me'akos avshu kodem havdalah. I'm allowed to go ahead and drink from this cup of wine, even though it's before Havdalah. Why? What's the problem? Because you have to remember, whenever we're doing Birkat HaMazon, whenever we're benching on Shabbat, you already are basically, if you're in Sudah shel, you're already after when the 3 stars came out. And we know that you're not allowed to drink alcoholic beverages once the 3 stars come out. If you're not allowed to drink alcoholic beverages, how am I drinking this glass of wine? So that's what he tells you, mutar. Why? The kosher Birkat HaMazon, because this cup, which is basically which Birkat HaMazon was set on it, shaykh l'suda. It really belongs to the meal that you had during Sudah shel. Meaning to say that if you can understand that, was I able to drink this during my 3rd meal? Yes. Even though it was dark? Yes, because I began in a permissible way. Beautiful. So to now, even though I already benched, but this cup really belongs to the 3rd meal. So I want to look at it as if you are in the middle of the 3rd meal. Now he continues and he says, V'chol zeh l'mishin izhar tamid levarech al hakos. All this is only for a person that's careful constantly to bless on a cup of wine. Meaning he always does Birkat HaMazon on a cup of wine. Then we're going to tell him over there that after Sudah shel, once the 3 stars came out, he's allowed to go ahead and drink it before Havdalah. However, but what happens if you have a person, he's not particular. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, depending on his mood. Right? However, but if you have a person that at times he blesses Birkat HaMazon not on a cup of wine. Why? Because he relies on the poskim, on the rabbis that hold that Birkat HaMazon does not require you to have a kosher bracha. Comes the Mishnah and he says, Asur lo lishtot ata me'a kosher Birkat HaMazon kodem Havdalah. Comes the Mishnah and he tells you, now we're going to tell you that this person is going to be forbidden from to drink from this kos of bracha where he blessed Birkat HaMazon on it before Havdalah. And he brings it down the name of the Magen Ram Usha'ar Achronim. So it comes out of it that the Mishnah is making a very big distinction. If you are accustomed to always doing Birkat HaMazon on the kosher Havdalah, good. So before Havdalah, no, the other way. 1 second. My bad. Let's go backwards. No, let's restart. If you are that type of person that's always accustomed of doing Birkat HaMazon on kosher bracha, so we will allow you to drink it even before Havdalah. Okay, like that. But if you're that type of person that yes, sometimes no. So if you're always particular, why now you're not particular? Meaning why at times yes, why at times no? Because the Mishnah said because you rely on the poskim that really say you don't have to have a kos shel bracha for Birkat HaMazon. Beautiful. If you're that type of person, now the Mishnah is going to tell you that in Sudah shel, if you went ahead and you did Birkat HaMazon on that cup of wine, you're not going to be allowed to drink it. Basically, he's telling you you shouldn't be doing Birkat HaMazon kosher bracha because you're not going to be able to drink it. V'katav HaChai Adam. Here we go. And the Chai Adam wrote, "D'zeh davka im hu kvar vaday hashecha." This whole thing what the Mishnah just said. If I'm particular about doing Birkat HaMazon on kosher bracha, or if I'm not particular about doing Birkat HaMazon kosher bracha, so therefore, if I'm particular, I could drink it before Havdalah. If I'm not particular, then I cannot drink before Havdalah. This whole difference comes to Chai Adam and he says, "D'zeh davka im hu kvar vaday hashecha." That is specifically if it's already completely dark. Sorry about that. That's specifically if it's already 100% dark, then you're going to go ahead and ask yourself, am I that person that's particular about always benching on the kosher bracha, yes or no? If the answer is yes, good. You did the Birkat Hamazon on kosher bracha, go ahead. You're allowed to drink it before Havdalah. Or you're that type of person that's not particular on kosher bracha. Now it's after nightfall. No, we're not going to allow you to go ahead and even say Birkat Hamazon on kosher bracha. Why? Because you can't even drink it before Havdalah. That's this whole machlok, this whole distinction that the Mishabur made, that specifically if it's already nightfall when the 3 stars came out. Aval, however, he says, Imu savik chashecha, what happens if it's twilight? From sunset until when the stars come out. Nira, it seems, the yachol ishtod mikosha birkat hamazon, you're able to drink from that kosher bracha where you bless birkat hamazon on it. Af mi she'enu nizhar tamid levarech al hakos. Even a person who is not particular to go ahead and always bless on a cup of wine. So you see over here that if you're doing ben hashmashot, I don't care. You're particular about benching birkat hamazon on the kosher shel bracha. You're not particular. It makes no difference to us. During ben hashmashot, why about that? If you guys remember, the lenient opinions will also allow you to go ahead and drink during that time. That's as long as you didn't hit when the stars came out. So the bottom line we see from the Mishnah Berurah that he brought the opinion of the Chai Adam, and who's that Chavdal? Let me see the Chavdalet. That is okay, fine. That's he depends on the task. Right. All right, because you're allowed to begin. Okay. Rabotai, the Mishnah Berurah brings Shartiyon those opinions that you have opinions to rely on to go ahead and drink during Savuk Chashechim. Now, so bottom line, we see from the Mishnah Berurah that when are we going to tell you that you're not allowed to drink before Havdalah? That specifically, if it's already nightfall and you are not particular about benching Birkat Hamazon on kosher bracha. But if it's during Ben Hashmashot, during twilight, the period from sunset until when the 3 stars come out, in that situation we're going to tell you, even if you're not particular, you never go ahead, you never bench on the kosher bracha. And now you went ahead, for some reason the guys gave it to you, or you were sitting with your friends, and they explained to you that the kosher bracha has all the barachot inside of it. Once you do it, you decide to go ahead and do it. If you're doing Ben Hashmashot, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you the permission to go ahead and drink this cup of wine. Rabotai, Rabbi Dahan in Amot Hora'ah in Otzain brings down, and he says like this. He's going on the Chai Adam, where the Chai Adam writes, if it's twilight versus when it's dark. That the whole machlokes was when it's dark. But if it's twilight, we're going to tell you, I don't care, you're accustomed to doing Birkat Hamazon on kosher bracha. You're not accustomed to doing Birkat Hamazon on kosher bracha. During twilight, we'll always allow you to drink. So comes the Rabbi Dahan and he says, V'chen izkimu Chazon Ovadia. So too Chacham Ovadia also agrees with the Chai Adam, Uben Ish Chai, and the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Hashmashot mutar levarech v'lishtot kos Birkat Hamazon, af al pi she'enu ragil levarech al hakos. The Chacham Ovadia and the Ben Ish Chai is saying like this, that during twilight period, you are allowed to go ahead and bless Birkat Hamazon on a kos shel bracha, and you are even allowed to go ahead and drink it. Even though you are not accustomed to go ahead, in general, you're not accustomed to going ahead and blessing Birkat Hamazon on a kosher bracha. Aval bevade hashicha, he's using the same language we showed in Chai Adam. However, but if it's 100% nightfall, meaning once the 3 stars come out, Eino mevarech, do not bless on it, meaning do not bless Birkat Hamazon on the kosher bracha, v'shoteh kos havdalah. Do not go ahead. 1 second, let me see something. Aval b'vad hashicha eno mevarech v'shoteh kos havdalah elim ken ragil levarech al hakos. I think there's something over here. Okay. Aval b'vad hashicha eno mevarech v'shoteh kos havdalah. I think he should have said kos shel bracha. Yeah. I think over here I'm gonna have to probably text it to him another, but I think over here he should have wrote Aval b'vad hashicha eno mevarech v'shoteh kos shel havdalah. And then can ragil levarech al hakos. Alright, Rabotai, that's what he's saying. I'm going to check the source. I'm not going to waste your time. Belinda, if you want, tomorrow I'll, in the following class, I can let you guys know. But you have to say like this. Even though he's not accustomed to blessing on the coast, since it's during twilight, I don't care if you're accustomed to, not accustomed to, we're going to let you go. But once it gets dark 100%, you're not allowed to bless and drink the kosher barakah unless you are accustomed on blessing Birkat Hamazon on the kosher bracha. Just like the Chai Adam said. Continues Rabbi Dahan and he says, V'hosiva ben Ishchai, and the Ben Ishchai added, Hanichtav le'el, the gather ragil, what's considered to be that a person is accustomed, right? We're saying accustomed. What does that mean? If a person is accustomed or not? So he says the gather, the fence to know if you're accustomed or not. How? The gather ragil levarech ala kos. When we say that if a person is accustomed to blessing on the cup, when is that time? Like meaning when? How do you fence that rule? Ha'inu, that means to say, deragil levarech al kos bisuda shelishit. That you are accustomed on blessing on the kosher bracha, meaning you're accustomed to saying Birkat Hamazon on the kosher bracha on the third meal of Shabbat. Afa pi she'en ragil bisuda rishona v'shniya. Even though you're not accustomed to doing it in the first meal, second meal, the Ben Ishchai is going to tell you, you are allowed to go ahead and Sudah Shalishit and go ahead, and even after nightfall, you'll be able to drink that wine before Havdalah. How's that possible? If I don't drink it on the first meal or on the second meal, and I only do it on the third meal, that's considered to be ragil, accustomed to, for the third meal, that's good enough. So that's what the Ben Ishchai is adding. He says, okay, he says also the Chacham Ovadia brought this also. The Loki Mashma'od HaMishabur is not like the Mishabur wanted to say in this, because the Mishabur says that if you're not accustomed, if you're not always particular about it, you can drink it. V'chein Sudar Chatan V'Kala, and so too when you have the meal of a Chatan and a Kala, of a bride and groom, Shenuhagil Levarech Al Shnei Kosot, right, you're accustomed, we have the minhag to bless on 2 cups of wine, Nechshav Keragil, that's also considered to be like the normal way. That's considered to be we're particular. He says Chazon Ovadia Shabbat, okay. Umikol makom, nevertheless, Rabbi Dan says, Afilu mi she'enu nizhar tamid. Even if you have a person that's not always particular about balancing Birkat Hamazon on a kosher bracha, im rotzeh mivarech l'shtot kos bracha acher hashecha. If the one that is blessing Birkat Hamazon on the kosher bracha, he wants to drink it after nightfall, and georim bo, you're not allowed to rebuke him. Sheyesh lo amash sheismo, he has what to rely on. He brings the Ben Ishchai and also the Kav HaChaim and so on and so forth. Rabotai, bottom line is, Rabbi Dahan is telling us, you have a person that comes to shul during Sudah Shalishit right after nightfall. You know, we tell him, listen, it's very important to do the kosher bracha, blah blah blah. You know, he says, yes, you know, I'm going to do it. Now you have to ask yourself, should he do it or not? L'chadchila, we wouldn't want him to do it because it's already after Hashek, it's already after nightfall. And if it's after nightfall, he's not going to be allowed to drink before Havdalah because he's not particular about blessing on the cup of wine. But let's say somebody gave it to him in person on Amot, he didn't know the Halacha, he went, he took it, now he's benching, blah, blah, blah. Now after Birkat Hamazon, he says, Savri Maranan, what do? You leave him alone. You don't take the cup away, you allow him to drink because he has what to rely on. Rabotai, with this we do conclude Halacha Dalet. Let's just see the halachot which are practical to us. We saw in Amudei Hora'ah in Ot Zayin, Rabbi Dahan brought down the same piece of what the Chai Adam said. When do we make this rule that if a person is accustomed or if a person is particular about benching Birkat Hamazon on a kosher bracha, so therefore we're going to tell you that he's allowed to even drink it before Havdalah? That is specifically in the situation after nightfall. But if he's not particular and now he wants to go ahead and drink the wine, he wants to bless Birkat Hamazon on the kosher Havdalah after nightfall, that we're not going to allow him to do. One more time, Rabotai. We have 2 cases. if a person is particular, let's go step by step. If a person is particular about blessing Birkat Hamazon and Koshel Havdalah, and it's already after nightfall, we're going to tell him you're allowed to go ahead and drink the Koshel Bracha before the Havdalah, because the Koshel Bracha is really part of the third meal. If you are that type of person that you're not particular about blessing Birkat Hamazon and Koshel Bracha, and now you are after nightfall, we're going to tell you you're not allowed to go ahead and drink that cup of wine before Havdalah. However, we did see what happens if this happened, that you're not particular on the Koshel Bracha, but you're doing Ben Hashmashot. Over there, we're going to allow you to go ahead and drink the wine. We saw that Rabbi Dahan brought down the Ben Ishchai. What is the gather of Ragil? How can I define, what does it mean that I'm particular or not particular? What does that mean? So he said, even if a person is particular about always doing Birkat Hamazon and the Koshel Bracha during Sudah Shalishit, even though he doesn't do it for the first or second meal, that's considered to be Ragil. It's considered to be that is the norm. So therefore, if this type of person on Shabbat, after nightfall, went ahead and he did Koshel Bracha for Sudah Shalishit, he will be allowed to go ahead and drink the wine even before Havdalah. But we did see even a lenient opinion that was brought down, that if you have a person that's not particular, he doesn't care, he's not accustomed, nothing of ever doing Birkat Hamazon or Koshel Bracha, and all of a sudden somebody wanted to honor him and he went ahead and he benched on it and now he's about to drink it, we're going to tell you he has what to rely on and do not protest against him. Rabotai, have a blessed day. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen ve'amen.